Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are more than welcome on the Dugout Football channel. And it is the big one. It is Liverpool against Manchester City. Maybe not so big in terms of where both teams are. Obviously, Manchester City being second, Liverpool being in 10th, I think, at the moment. But it is still a big, big game. And I'm absolutely delighted to see, joining me for this opposition preview, probably one of my first ever subscribers on this channel. And obviously I know him from my good friend Dan, of course. It's the Mr. Pete Shepherd. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, Doug. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
It is an absolute pleasure. It is an absolute pleasure. So, yeah, we will obviously begin. What have you made of your start to the season so far? You are sitting second. You are through to the round of 16 of the Champions League. Things are going well, and you are still unbeaten as well.
Yeah, things are definitely going well. It is a good start to a season for sure. And obviously playing through a couple of injuries has, been very encouraged as a fan. Based on some of those things. Interestingly enough, for me, and I know you'd mentioned this to me a little while ago that, I had done a video on another channel, but talking about, Erling Haaland being, the main talking point at Man City right now, is it's pretty obvious. The impact he's made, not only from an offensive perspective, but the amount of attention that he draws that has allowed several other players to free themselves up in some different opportunities than they haven't had in the last couple of seasons. But yeah, absolutely feel like it's a great start to the season, but I feel like that we're just getting going.
Yeah, not quite made that sort of being electric city. You're getting into gear, as they like to say.
Yeah, I think the boys are learning to play with Erling very well, but I think there's going to be a lot more chemistry as the season progresses.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think it is safe to say that you have had a very, very good start to the season, and I'm well, compared to our start. Let me just say anyway. Yeah. But it was a busy transfer window for Manchester City, because obviously you did lose a couple of players. Obviously, Fernandinho, club legend. I think everyone kind of knows him. He was fantastic for Manchester City. You brought in Kalvin Phillips to replace him. I know he hasn't kind of played already, but that I thought that was a very shrewd signing by Pep, getting Kalvin Phillips in for Fernandinho sort of replacement.
Yeah, and I wish, honestly, I could speak more about him, but he just hasn't had, through injury and other things, he just hasn't quite had that opportunity yet. What I did see of him, prior coming to Man City, I mean, he seemed like a pretty dynamic passer, which I think is one of the things that Pep really liked about him. And I think one of the things we've had over the last couple of seasons, we've gotten into some games. One that really stands out to me is the game against Chelsea in the CL final, where Rodri didn't start and he put Gundogan back there. I think there's been a lot thrown on Rodri, and I think he's responded very well. But as we all know in football, you can't play every minute of every game, all season long. It just it's too much on the body. It wears you down. And I feel like if obviously Kalvin can come back from this current injury, get a little bit of time mid-season to late season, he could be, key or pivotal for us at some late season, Champions League football or, late season Premier League games.
Yeah, absolutely. Sergio Gomez, another youngster that's obviously coming through as well. Obviously, he did get, he got sent off against Copenhagen, but he's only 21, so he's got a lot of learning to do. But I suppose it's very difficult getting him in against João Cancelo, who has been fantastic yet again this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's this is another interesting transfer for us, because a guy that didn't get a lot of media coverage, weren't a lot of articles saying, hey, City are going after this guy. Everything was, Cucurella.
Yeah.
And, Man City, did what they do. They evaluated somebody. They said, here's our price. And, I know we got a lot of money. We got more money than you, but we're not paying more than we need to pay. And we have a great scouting system. And I think I mentioned to you, I told Dan, like, I think it's great. He got the nod from Vincent Kompany when he had been there managing at Anderlecht. Said he was a great young guy, a lot of talent. He ended up being, I think, runner-up to Foden and the young European player or whatever during that competition. So you throw him into a team with veterans like a Kyle Walker, like a Cancelo, and Pep is the manager. And I think it's the perfect season for him to learn because he's not going to be asked to do too much. But he's going to be given some opportunities to play, obviously right now, especially with Walker's injury. So I think it's, I think it's a great signing for us in terms of building up squad depth and allowing somebody to kind of learn on the fly as they're playing.
Yeah, 100%, and I've been very impressed with him as well so far this season.
He's got a nice left foot. I mean, he's got a good cross for sure.
He certainly does. One that actually happened just before the window closed. Manuel Akanji, he has been very solid as a centre back for City.
So I don't know what to make of this, Doug, because he was the guy that was told Dortmund, I don't want to play here anymore. and they kind of didn't play him, and his stats didn't reflect the fact that he was all that good, And I know Man City's a different team. You got better players and a better system. So obviously some of that's going to rise. But I mean, he's looked like our best center back by far. And it's crazy.
I know,
it's
and
crazy.
Especially he's keeping like Ruben Diaz out the side as well. Like you've had Akanji and Ake, and then at some point you've had Stones and Akanji. Like he's keeping Ruben Diaz out the side, but it just goes to show that £15 million is an absolute bargain for a very good centre back. I know he had his doubts at Dortmund, but since he's came into City, he's been very, 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 very good. Another player that's gone under the radar, Julian Alverez. I have to say, many people said, and I said this included, I really wanted Liverpool to go for him because I knew what he was doing at River Plate. He is a Sergio Aguero kind of replacement, isn't he?
I said this to Dan. He literally is going to be a star, and he's being overshadowed right now by Haaland. And obviously he's not getting anywhere near as much playing time as opportunities, but he's one of those players. And I know both you and I being really tall individuals. I actually grew up playing basketball, played in college, all that kind of stuff. I actually coached it in high school out here for quite a few seasons. He is the type of player as a coach you just love. He gives every bit of himself every second he's on the pitch, nonstop energy, nonstop movement. I love this kid. It's a coup of a signing for us. What he cost. Unbelievable.
Absolutely. And one player who you actually brought last season is Jack Grealish. Now, he has had a lot of critics this season, but this season he seems to be finding his feet ever so slightly.
Yeah. And I don't know, what the coverage is like out there, but one of the things that I've noticed from a distance with him is he seems to be one of those players that's a lot more sensitive to the media coverage than some players are. And, I think the weight of that contract and the weight of the expectations on him really affected his play last year. I think a lot of players take 2 seasons under Pep to kind of really get going. Yeah. But I think it was just a case of him not having confidence in himself. He was just probably reading too many newspapers, listening to too many outlets. Because the last 3 games that he's been for us, he's been the Grealish of Aston Villa. He's been really good on the ball. It's been hard to take it off of him. He's passing well. He's moving well. So I'm hopeful this is sort of like his renaissance, and he can kind of let all that stuff get behind him and and really start to play his brand of football.
Oh yeah, definitely, and he was outstanding against Manchester United as well on that left
hand
side, and obviously he did score against Wolves this season. Now, obviously, everyone will be like, "Well, you've mentioned all City's transfer business, but one player, Erling Haaland. I mean, there was one famous, one YouTuber that said Haaland will not score more than 15 goals this season."
Was that Rory?
We're in October. Rory Jennings, yes. Yeah. We're into October, and he has 15 goals already this season. How have you been impressed with his form so far?
As a City fan, it's so much better than I even thought it would be, Doug. At this point, I honestly felt like there would be an adjustment period. I knew he would score. I honestly knew that for sure. But to this level and this degree in this league, I mean, I know I'm an American, but I know without a doubt the Premier League is the toughest league in the world. Yeah. And for him to do what he's doing right now, and again, I think this is one of those situations, Doug, where if you take a superstar from a mediocre team and you put him on a team with other stars, it just elevates his play because everyone around him is better. But some of these goals he's scoring, I'm just blown away. Like at this point, Doug, as a football fan, whatever team you support, Liverpool, whatever whatever Scottish team when someone on your team scores, you're happy, you're into it, you're energized. At this point, I just kind of laugh. I'm just kind of like, really? Like again? Some of these are laughable. Like when he's jumping in the air and karate kicking it, out the outside of his foot, while the ball's coming over his shoulder. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
That's mental. There's just some of the goals he scores, like upper body movement. He's just so good. Like if you try to like brush off Haaland, you're basically like a rock to a stone. Basically, Haaland will just brush you off like that. But one of the things I've been very impressed with this season for him, in particular, like obviously, he scored so many goals, but 3 hat-tricks in a row. Yeah. I've never seen a player score 3 hat-tricks in a row.
Well, I think there was some kind of statistic that I saw, and I could be wrong, but I think I got this right, that the player who scored the fastest 3 hat-tricks in Premier League history did it in 48 games, and he did it in 8.
Sure. It's crazy.
What do you say about that? What do you say about
that? I mean, whenever he doesn't score, we're like, "Oh, many me drought." But you're just in expectancy of him to score. But he has been fantastic, and obviously his father played for City, and you understand all of that as well. But how many goals could he potentially get this season?
I don't think it's unrealistic to say that he'll probably score 40 in the Premier, and maybe
that would be a new record.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I mean, on his pace right now, he's above that, so I think he will regress some because I think, like you're talking about, this is the best league in the world. There are going to be some managers who figure out a few things and defend him and his movement differently and set up differently as the season goes on. So I do expect a little regression for sure. But if he, obviously the number one thing with him is health. Health has been an issue with him. If he stays healthy, I think 40 could be a goal. And then probably a little bit over 50 in all competitions. Assuming that we go deep into quite a few of these, which I can't see why we wouldn't.
I think
because we have a pretty good squad depth right now, so I think that's going to help push some of these tournaments and stuff.
Yeah, I think Salah's best record, if I seem to remember, was 17-18. That was the season when we went to the Champions League against Madrid and we lost. Salah, I think, got 44 in all comps that season. And I think he got 31, I think, in the Premier League. So already you're looking at Haaland's numbers, and he looks like he could potentially just double that. The way he's going, But as you said, a very, very good point. It's all about his health, because we all know that he has had a lot of muscle injuries. But obviously, being a big, strong guy like both of us, it will be very, very difficult to stay injury free. But when he does get his injuries, you've obviously got Alverez to come in, obviously Mahrez, Phil Foden. We haven't even talked about Phil Foden as well. Another player who has been in sensational form, has to be said. His first hat trick at against Manchester United.
It makes it even that much sweeter too.
in an absolutely massive game like that, Manchester Derby, he scored a hat trick in a 6-3. I mean, yes, you could kind of say, at 1.61, it could have been anything. It could have been 7, 8, 9. Could have even been potentially double figures. But Phil Foden, what have you made of him so far this season?
I don't think you're going to ever interview a bigger Phil Foden fan. I think he's phenomenal. If I were an Englishman, I think he would be my favorite, international player. I love the kid. I love his energy. I love his drive. I love the way that for someone his size, he never backs down from any kind of physical challenge. He to me is what a footballer is all about, honestly. And I know that might be, heaping more praise on him than he deserves, but it just, from my angle and from my fandom, that's how I feel about him. I think it's even better that he, grew up in Stockport, was a City fan, is playing for the team he loved growing up. I mean, I think that even makes it that much better, honestly.
He's been terrific, and I don't know about you, but obviously we have something called fantasy football, and you'll not be surprised to hear that I've actually got Phil Foden and Erling Haaland in my team, and I've had them both in since week 1, and they're doing very, very well. And I am not taking them out of this for this weekend.
With that, are you?
No, absolutely not. And obviously, Phil Foden has a very good record against Liverpool as well. I think he scored the last time. I think at Anfield as well. So obviously moving away from City, Liverpool. Well, I would say Liverpool struggles recently, but last night was a very, very good win, 7-1 against
last night.
Rangers. But obviously before that, in the league, it hasn't been as rosy. What have you made of Liverpool this season?
Well, I know a lot's been made of the defense. I know, in particular, Alexander-Arnold has been pointed out quite a few times. And I'm not here as a City fan to dog on anybody. The few highlights that I've seen, and I definitely watch highlights of other teams besides City. So, looking at the highlights, I think there obviously have been some defensive breakdowns. But like City, I think you guys are also learning to play a new way a little bit. Darwin Núñez is a much different figure than Mane in the team. So the way that you guys integrate him into the team, I absolutely expect Liverpool to turn this around and to come back to the team that they've been for the last 4 or 5 seasons. 100%. The manager's not changing. You still got your core there. You still have tremendous talent. I think this is a bump in the road, and as a Liverpool fan, I'm sure you've hated to see it, but I would bank a lot of money on them rebounding and making a hell of a run in the Prem to get back in the top 4 without a doubt.
Yeah, I think so. I'm glad you didn't say title there, because obviously we are well off the pace in the title race. And,
I don't think the title's there for grabs, but I definitely think you guys are top 4 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think obviously last night as well was magnificent. Obviously Mohamed Salah getting the fastest Champions League hat trick in 6 minutes.
6 minutes, that's insane.
After coming on as a substitute as well, is very, 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 very impressive as well. But I have to say that, yes, I do think there has been made a lot of Erling Braut. I think even Liverpool fans, I think, are now starting to notice it as well. He isn't the best defensively, and I think obviously he is missing this game as well. So obviously Joe Gomez has got, Joe Gomez had Ryan Kent last night to deal with. He'll have Phil Foden to potentially deal with, or Jack Grealish on that matter as well. But yeah, I just think it's been a collective of things. I think playing every game possible last season, I think will have taken a lot on the players. And I do still think that they will be still tired out as well. But yeah, it's just been a collective. I think we really needed to strengthen in the midfield. I think that was a glaring miss, and we didn't do it. Of the signings we have made, Arthur Melo hasn't been great. It has to be said. He
under surgery now, right? Is that correct?
He got injury. He got an injury, so he's going to be out until I think March. So I don't know if the club will still want him after that. Kalvin Ramsey, he has been injured. I think he may have got himself injured again. So he's a right back option if obviously Joe Gomez moves to centre back as well. Matip's out as well.
Oh, so what happened to Matip? I didn't hear about that.
He is injured. He got a calf injury, I think it was. Calf injury. Okay. So him and Trent are missing this game, so it's probably going to be looking like Konate with Gomez. It's probably going to be the same back four, maybe except Robertson back in for Tsimikas. I think that might be, and obviously Alisson Becker, who,
right?
We've probably got two of the best goalkeepers on show at the weekend as well. But sure. Yeah, I agree with you. I think we will turn it around at some point. We're practically nearly through in the Champions League. Right. I think we just need one more point against Ajax, and then I think we're through. But as you say, we're the kind of team to put in a run of like 13, 14 consecutive games. I remember the 18-19 season when we lost to you guys in January. And then that was our only loss until that. Basically, you guys won the league, I think, by 2 points, I think it was then. So yeah, look, I think you're absolutely right. I think we could potentially go on a similar run.
So what have you made of it so far, though, from a Liverpool perspective? What do you think's the biggest issue for you guys right now? Like what has been the stumbling block?
We're not starting games very well. We're not starting fast paced like we have been. I think that's been a big factor as well, because we seem to be going behind in a lot of games, and obviously last night we went behind against Rangers, and then obviously what happened, seven unanswered goals later, winning 7-1 is very, very good. But Fulham we went behind, Crystal Palace we went behind, Man United we went behind. The only game I think we've not been behind in this season, I think, was Bournemouth, and that was obviously a freak 9-0 result.
Right.
Newcastle we went behind as well. So you can see the kind of trend that we concede the first goal. Now, the most dangerous side to concede the first goal to is coming to Anfield on Sunday, is Manchester City. Now, if you concede the first goal, practically you could just say bye-bye. Because basically we have been very poor when we concede the first goal. And, dropping points in 6 out of the last 8 games is not good form at all. And then obviously, we also lost to Arsenal on Sunday again, and yet again defensive frailties at the back. What have you made of Van Dijk this season? Because me personally, I think he is playing to not the strengths that he has been, but I think he might be potentially in World Cup mode.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly possible. I've definitely noticed, and I'm not sure what to tie it to, but I've noticed quite a few times that he is a little bit more hesitant in the box defensively than he used to be.
Yeah.
He used to be more of a physical presence. He would step into you. He would, when you guys played, I think it was Man U early.
Yeah.
There was that one play where he just kind of put his hands behind his back and he didn't even step towards the ball before Sancho. Yeah. I believe it was Sancho shot, right? And it just, as someone who is, obviously as a City fan, I follow Liverpool, I follow Man United, and I follow the big clubs to see how they're doing, and I watch their games, and it just didn't seem like the normal Virgil. And then I'm not sure what to tie it to, but he definitely seems like he's a little bit off the pace for some reason.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, Liverpool are massively off the pace, but the pace setters at the moment are Arsenal. What have you made? What have you made of them this season? And actually, do you think they could potentially challenge you for the league?
This may shock a lot of people, but I actually do not think they can. I don't think they have the overall depth to. I think they have a very good starting 11. I think Arteta has done some really good things with them and kind of getting them to play the brand of football that he wants. It's obviously very Pep-esque, as he, was an associate coach with us for several years. But I don't think they have the overall sustainability to take the title.
Yeah.
And I think, one or two injuries to some starters there, and I think they could really struggle, to be honest with you.
I absolutely agree with you.
I honestly think you guys got a little bit hosed against them, if I'm being real.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't. How anybody could say that was a natural hand position. I still can't see it. I'm just like, what was that?
VAR. If we could do a whole show on VAR, and
you could do a whole month of shows.
We could. VAR. We could easily do that, but no, we will definitely not talk about that. But we should. That I don't know how that wasn't a penalty, anyway. But you are going to a ground where you have actually struggled in the past, and I was actually looking at this, which actually shocked me. Actually, 2 wins in 19 years. 2003, 2004, where Nicholas Anelka scored the winner, and then obviously 2020, 2021 was that 4-1 win with obviously no fans. But why do you think City struggle at Anfield more than any other ground?
That's a really good question, and I wish I knew the answer because I could call Pep up and let him know. I honestly think a lot of it has to do with your fan base. It's a very rabid, very energized fan base. I think it's in any kind of professional sport, when you're you're being booed, the crowd's not with you. There's obviously been some situations in the past few seasons where fans have even done things to like the bus on the way in and stuff like that. Like, I think just the overall atmosphere of Anfield makes it tough because Liverpool fans are so behind the team. And I know one of the things that I've heard being a City fan is all the jokes about, instead of it being the Etihad, it's the Emptyhad. And that doesn't happen in Anfield. I think you guys just have a following and a fan base that is always behind the team no matter what. And I'm sure you have people that complain about a losing streak here or there, that kind of stuff, but nobody stops supporting the team. And I think that's just the atmosphere. I think we've even gone to places like Old Trafford at times in the last few years where we've been far better team and not played well. And I think it's just because those fan bases of those teams are so rabid and so energized and so up for the game, no matter where each team is in the in the standings. And clearly, we both know as Liverpool and City fans, the Premier League title has gone back and forth between us over the last 4 to 5 seasons. Yeah. And we are the 2 teams in the league that everybody gets up for. So having City come to Anfield, I imagine the atmosphere is even that much more raised and that much more raucous. And that would be, from my perspective, from the outside looking in, why we struggle so much.
Yeah.
Outside of that, Doug, you guys have been really, really good. So you take that and add it to a great team with a great manager. Yeah, it's definitely adds up for struggles on the road for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And there have been some very, very high-scoring games between the two. Obviously, I can remember the 4-3 game. I think that was that 17-18? I think that was 17-18 because that was the season you beat us 5-0 at the Etihad, and then I think we beat you 4-3. That's right, because that was the season that you were unbeaten until you came to Anfield. Now, we're not in the best of form, so I can see some sort of similar vibes to that sort of game. I don't think there's going to be anything like 4-3 anyway, but there's been some high-scoring games, obviously 4-3. There was obviously 2-2 last season, where Salah scored probably one of the greatest goals at Anfield I think I've ever seen. Oh, unbelievable finish. And then obviously you've got on the other end, Foden scored an absolutely fantastic strike in the bottom corner. And like everyone was saying, Foden's just movement was fantastic then. But I look at this game and I'm thinking, because City are unbeaten at the moment, it's an incentive to, go on and win after, obviously, last night. But if I'm being honest, the way you guys have been playing recently, my opinion, we'll obviously get the score predictions in a wee bit. I think the best result we can hope for is a draw, if I'm being honest.
So, from my perspective, with you being the Liverpool fan, how do you feel like Klopp will play the game? Do you think he'll play closer to the vest and try to play for a draw, or do you think he'll go for it?
Well, this is the interesting thing, because he did play his 4-2-3-1 against Rangers. He played it against Arsenal, and he trialled it against Brighton. No, it wasn't Brighton. It wasn't Brighton. It was Ajax. Might have been Ajax. There was that game as well that he did it there. So I think what's going to happen, I think you'll see the 4-2-3-1 again. And I do think that we need to not concede the first goal. I think it's the safest thing to say. We cannot afford to concede the first goal, because if we do, then it's going to be a long, long afternoon. And obviously, how do you stop Erling Haaland is another matter as well. But I do think that we will try to attack you. And I don't think we're going to sit back, because I don't think that Klopp doesn't do that at all. So I do think we will set up to attack and then try and hit you with set pieces as well, because we seem to be a lot better from set pieces this season, but then again we're very, very bad defending them as well. So I think that will be how we set up. How do you think City will set up?
So what I'm expecting to see is potentially a 4-3-3 with, and this is a guess of mine, because I don't think he's done this yet this year, but I think he might play Grealish on the left and Foden on the right. And I think he might even go, I think it'll be Bernardo, KDB, and Rodri in the midfield. And then a back four of Cancelo, who he'll go with at cornerback, center back. I don't know at this point. It could be a Akanji, maybe an Akanji Diaz pairing. I guess it's Pep, it's Liverpool. I don't think he throws Gomez in. No. I think he's too young, too inexperienced. So, maybe somebody like an Ake plays, one of the other back back positions. Probably left back, and probably Cancelo on the right. So that's my guess, with Ederson in goal. But it'll be interesting because we have been a little susceptible again on the counterattack early in the season. We've given up some goals that, as a fan, I didn't think we would in certain situations. So, I don't honestly, as a fan, come into this game with a lot of confidence. I could see Liverpool stealing one from us at Anfield. My prediction is definitely going to be It's going to be close. I would, if we got a point, I think as a fan, I would be happy with that. I mean, you, despite where you guys are on the table, you're still Liverpool. Yeah. Klopp has a really good record against Pep, as you guys have against us over the years.
Yeah.
So, and it's one of those, what's the most dangerous dog? An injured dog. Like you guys are not, not sitting up there. We're not chasing you. You have to make up the ground. So I think you guys are going to go for it. And and that does scare me a little bit as a fan, to be honest with you.
Yeah, wounded animal, as they say. I suppose that I'll come to Liverpool lineup in a wee minute, but I suppose one player you are very, very relieved not to see in the Liverpool lineup is Sadio Mane, because Sadio Mane was an absolute
city killer.
horror for City, wasn't he?
City killer, absolute city killer. Yeah, no, man could pick out a goal against us, that's for sure.
Yeah, he certainly could. But yes, enough of obviously about Mane and that. I think Liverpool will line up Alisson in goal, definitely. I think Alisson will definitely start in goal. I think you'll see the same back four, except I think Robertson will come in for Tsimikas. I think Tsimikas has played a lot recently, and I think Robertson coming back to fitness, and obviously him coming on against Rangers last night, I think he will start. I'm going to go Van Dijk. I am going to go Konate because obviously Matip's injured. I don't expect it to be Phillips. Nat Phillips. I don't think he will come in. So I think it'll be Konate and Van Dijk at the centre back, and obviously Joe Gomez right back. Now this is where it gets interesting. Midfield. Do I go with the midfield 2 or do I go with the midfield 3? I think what he's going to do, I think he will potentially match up. So I'm going to say that again. I think he will go for 4-2-3-1 again. So I'm going to go Fabinho and Thiago. I think both of them are going to play in the midfield. Then what I think is going to happen is Jota on the left, Firmino in the number 10 role, Mohamed Salah on the right, and then up front on his own, Darwin Núñez. I think that's what he's going to go with. So it could be a very, very interesting game ahead. So with that being said, and I cannot let you go without a score prediction, what are you going to go for?
So I think my prediction, my gut feeling is 2-2, 2-2 draw, and I think that it'll be 2-1 Liverpool late, and we'll tie it up at the very end.
Do you know what? That is actually my prediction as well. I've actually had it. I've had it all week. I've had it either 1-1 or I've had it 2-2. But I just cannot see us keeping out Erling Haaland. I think he will probably get one. And I am actually going to go for Foden to score as well. For us, Jota likes to goal against you. Scored last season at the Etihad, so I'm going to go Jota. And for all the criticism that he has actually had in his short time at Liverpool, I'm going to go for Darwin Núñez to score. So all the headlines on Sky will be, Haaland against Núñez, Núñez against Haaland. Let's see which one can do well. I do think Haaland and Núñez will both score as well. But guys, get your score prediction and get your starting 11 in the comment section down below. Pete, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the channel.
Thank you so much for the invite, Doug. It's been fantastic. Love speaking with you.
Really
quality channel. You guys give this guy a like and a subscribe, please.
Thank you very much. I know you don't have a channel, but tell the people where they can find you.
On Twitter at 68wahoo. That's my Twitter follow. I occasionally tweet stuff about Man City and that kind of thing. So if you want to follow me over there, you can find me at there.
Absolutely. No, it has been an absolute pleasure. And big shout out to Dan as well, because we met through obviously Dan. If you ever come to Scotland, I'll need to come up and obviously meet you. That would be amazing. That'd be absolutely amazing.
Sir.
But guys, let us know what you think the game will go on Sunday, and another big game on Sunday. But thank you very, very much for watching, and yeah, we'll see what happens on Sunday. But from the two of us, it is goodbye for now.